of the Audit Committee of the City University Construction Fund to order. We have a quorum. I note the presence of it. And the following action items. Approval of the minutes of October 20th, 2022. Meeting of the Audit Committee of the City University Construction Fund, number 2412. Any amendments to the minute? Any discussion? I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Thank you. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. I'll now go to the second resolution. Resolution of the City University Construction Fund approving the annual certificate for fiscal year 2025, number 2413. Is that the correct year, 2025? Yes, okay, just wanted to be clear. Resolved that the Fund's Board of Trustees approved the annual certificate for fiscal year 2025 dated October 19th, 2023 in the form attached here to, and be it further resolved that the acting chairman of the Fund is hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver the annual certificate on behalf of the Fund. I hereby call on Dr. Mohammed Atalia, Executive Director of the Construction Fund, to explain the item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to Section 6274-7 of the New York State Education Law, the Fund is required to produce an annual financial certification. The certification is a letter provided to 6 New York State and city agencies, the purpose of which is to forecast the debt service due to DASNY for fiscal year 2025 on debt issuances prior to the utilization of personal income tax bonds. 2, the tuition and fees to be collected from the university during the next 2 fiscal years. And 3, the fund's cost of administration for fiscal year 2025. It is required that the fiscal year 2023 audited annual financial statements accompany the annual certification when it is sent to the agencies. This year's annual financial statements were prepared by CUCF and audited by the accounting firm Mitchell Titus, who are now in their 4th year as the fund's auditors. Mitchell Titus will now provide a full presentation of their audit findings and results for the fiscal year 2023 financial statements. Speaking on behalf of the firm is Jessica Daniels, Assurance Supervisor for the fund's audit. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay. So these are the items that we'll discuss in this presentation. The audit highlights, scope of services. We were engaged to express an opinion on the report of CUCF, the results of our audit on the basic financial statements and financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2023, in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. And also, our firm was engaged to prepare the Form 990 and the Chart 500 tax filings. The 2023 basic financial statement audit has been completed, and we issued an unmodified opinion on those financial statements. As it relates to comments on recorded and unrecorded misstatements, there were none during the current year. Comments on the internal controls of CUCF. We consider the internal controls for the purpose of determining our audit procedures, but not to express an opinion on the internal controls, and we did not identify any deficiencies in the internal controls that we consider to be significant. Deficiencies or material weaknesses. Our audit approach was based on the following phases: planning, where we establish our understanding of management's audit needs, the expectations, and the delivery requirements, including communication protocols to help us define the scope of services. Strategy and risk assessment, we gain an understanding of the current and emerging developments that may affect your business risk and internal control environment, as well as the financial reporting requirements. And our goal is to identify business risks and link those risks to financial statement implications. And we we documented our understanding over the financial processes using narratives and performing walkthroughs. The execution of a customized approach. Our approach is to perform the audit. We believe that leading practices in conducting an efficient and effective audit results from management active participation in the audit planning process, as well as our assessment of risk of error and fraud. And our procedures include substantive tests of details and significant account balances and transactions and analytical procedures. Continuous communication. In essence, we maintain transparency throughout the audit, maintaining communication with management in an effort to understand the scope and determine any findings, and making it a smooth process to avoid surprises. And yeah, generally keeping in contact with management to just make sure that the process was smooth. Conclusion and reporting. So the conclusion of our audit phase is the quality control process, control procedures that we've instituted in issuing the financial statements related to the independent auditor's report. Upon completing the audit, we issued our opinion on CUCF's financial statements, and this document provides the formal required communications to management and the audit committee. These are the core members of the audit team. Uzma Malik was the engagement partner. Paul Garrity, he was the concurring reviewer. Scott Shoup was the supervisor. And actually, Gwendolyn Yang was on the engagement team as well. Just wanted to acknowledge her. Fraud considerations. Let me just take a sip. AUC Section 240, consideration of fraud in the financial statement, defines fraud as an intentional act by one or more individuals among management, those charged with governance, employees, or third parties, involving the use of deception that results in a material misstatement in the financial statements that are the subject of an audit. So as auditors, we are responsible, skip around a little bit. As auditors, we are responsible to plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement, whether caused by error or fraud, and to satisfy our audit requirements in this area, we perform specific audit procedures, including the following. So gaining an understanding of the material fraud risk of affecting the entity, conducting interviews and performing inquiries of management and other members within the organization, the entity, reviewed and tested journal entries, performed analytical procedures, reviewed key estimates for management bias, and evaluated the quality of audit evidence provided. Okay, so summary of audit results. So I'll go through. So as it relates to the financial statement account or areas emphasis, as it relates to revenue recognition, we confirmed the procedure that we performed. We confirmed tuition and fees received from CUNY and project funds received from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, and performed analytical procedures over the revenue. We also performed tests of details for revenue, and no revenue recognition issues were identified. As it related to cash and investments, we confirmed cash and investments with the financial institutions. We also tested the investment income and reviewed the disclosures in accordance with GASB 40, and determined that there were no exceptions identified there. Related to accounts receivable, we tested individual significant accounts receivable balances and reviewed subsequent cash collections to determine reasonableness of the collectability at the end of the year. There were no exceptions identified there. And with regards to liabilities, we tested transactions in contracts, payables, and amounts due to other governments, and performed search for unrecorded liabilities. Also noted no exceptions identified there. So these are actually, this section right now is actually the required communications that we have to communicate to the committee. So as it relates to the plan scope and, the plan scope and timing of the audit, we conducted our audit consistent with the plan scope and timing previously communicated to you. Compliance with all ethical requirements regarding independence, the engagement team, others within our firm, as appropriate, and other firm, but the engagement team, others in our firm, have complied with all relevant ethical requirements regarding independence. Qualitative aspects of the entity's significant accounting practices. As it relates to significant accounting policies, management has the responsibility to select and use appropriate accounting policies. So, summary of those policies are noted in Note 2 of the financial statements, and no matters have come to our attention that will require us, under professional standards, to inform you that the methods used to account for significant unusual transactions and the effect of significant accounting policies in controversial or emerging areas for which there is a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. There were no significant accounting estimates identified there. As it relates to financial statement disclosures, certain accounting estimates are particularly sensitive because of their significance to the financial statements and their susceptibility to change. As described above, there were no key or sensitive accounting estimate affecting the financial statements. Identified or suspected fraud, we did not identify actual or suspected instances of fraud. Significant difficulties encountered during the audit, there actually were no significant difficulties in dealing with management during the performance of the audit.
Well, they're very difficult to get along with. Just kidding.
Okay. Uncorrected and corrected misstatements. We actually did not identify uncorrected or corrected misstatements during the course of the audit. As it relates to unusual transactions, as a qualitative aspect of accounting practices, there were no matters that came to our attention that will require us to inform you about the methods used for unusual transactions. Disagreements with management. There were no disagreements that arose during the course of the audit. Representations requested from management. We did obtain signed representation from management, and a copy of that letter can be obtained from CUCFC's management. Management's consultation with other accountants. Management informed us that, and to our knowledge, there were no consultations with other accountants regarding auditing and accounting matters. Other significant matters, findings, or issues. In the normal course of our professional association with CUCF, we generally discuss a variety of matters, including the application of the accounting principles and auditing standards, operating conditions affecting the entity, and operating plans and strategies that may affect the risk of material misstatement, and none of the matters discussed resulted in a condition impacting our retention as CUCF's auditors. Non-compliance with laws and regulations. We did not identify instances of non-compliance with laws and regulations during the course of our audit. Other information in documents containing audited financial statements. Essentially, we have a duty and a requirement to review such information. We did review the unaudited required supplementary information, management's discussion and analysis, and noted that information was consistent with that reflected in the audited financial statements. Substantial doubt about the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Management noted that no events or conditions that would indicate substantial doubt about management noted no events or conditions that would indicate substantial doubt about the entity's ability to continue as a going concern for 1 year from when the financial statements are issued and are available to be issued as appropriate. And so we concur with management's assessment. And that essentially is our required communications to the audit committee.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
So I ask this question every year, so. In short, there are no red flags that the board should be aware of.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, all right, is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions or concerns? Okay, I'm gonna call for a motion.
So moved.
So moved, second. All right, now I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously. If there's no more business before the committee, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, no
Thank you.
problem. You're
That was a
welcome.
mouthful.